Now, this is very important because Prophet Alim in chapter 47 speaks of the fact that there was one landmass, we refer to it as Pangea or Asia, which means body, hence the term Asiatic, Asian, Caucasian. We're all Asians. Within Hebrew, the word Asia is known as the lowest plane or realm, and it's called the world of the making, or the realm of the making. Right? So we're in the realm of the making. When we look at what's called the Mercator map, this is the trick in which that was done, is that they made Greenland larger than Africa, or just as large as Africa. Shows actually how it looks. And Greenland is probably about maybe 2/3 of the United States across as far as in length, but is nowhere compared to the size of Africa, which we know we could take so-called 5 United States and put inside of Africa. All right? And another trick that they have done is that really this is the way in which that we should be looking at the world. And what they refer to as east and west will actually be reversed, north and south will actually be reversed in that sense. And I'm just saying this because we're going to get to some other things in which that becomes very disturbing. But the various articles and books mentioned also testifies to the fact and proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are the oldest indigenous and the most indigenous people on planet Earth. The following information, all right, basically has been hidden from us as a whole. So this following information is basically for the said white supremacist races that will say, unquote, the revised history that 99.9% of the said Black Americans descended from Central West Africa, which we did, but not the majority of us 400 years ago, right? Which I'll document to a much deeper level. But this occurred in several impacts over a course of 600 million years, and this is what the book speaks of, Forbidden Archaeology, the Hidden History of the Human Race, is that we were in said Africa. Now, we did not come from Africa in that sense. We're talking about off-world, all right? And I won't get into that, but Clementoi did make this statement. If you read the Zulu Bone Oracle, he stated that the said Moors originally, before we came to Earth, existed on the red planet, which would be called Mars. All right? This is where Richard Smith gets into his information about the word Moor in Mars, you know, that type of thing. But I won't get into that. You go and do your research. I believe that you can find Richard Smith's information, Rick Smith information on YouTube. When he speaks about that, he has a book where he goes into that information. But that is verified by Clementoi. All right? Now, the same white supremacist races cannot dismiss the scholarly information that we're going to present here, nor can they explain the following data. Allegedly, 5 million to 20 million slaves arrived in America between 1540 and 1850 over a 310-year period, according to the United States history books and Emory University. However, if you look at the following facts of published, there was 1,100 to 1,400 voyages made over a 300-year period. If this is the case, and each ship carried 400 people total, the number would be around 560,000 Africans were transported. It still do not add up. According to figures above, many more slaving companies would have been in business of human trafficking annually to come up with the number of slaves actually transported. But the published material listed only 3 major companies that dealt in the slave trade and were given a 31-year monopoly by the British government via the Vatican. All right? The Royal Avenger, later named the Royal African Company Excursion, which we get the word race from, which is not spoken of. Race is an acronym for Royal of African, not spoken of. Race is an acronym for Royal of African Company, all right, established, or excursion, all right? R-A-C-E, race. So it was one in the same company. Independent companies engaged in slave trades, but there were only 3 main companies engaged in human trafficking. The Guinea Company, at its height, had 15 ships between 1618 and 1650. The Guinea Company also dealt with gold, dyes, and other things other than just human trafficking of slaves. British, French, Dutch, Danish participated in human trafficking. Statistics did not have not taken into consideration the Portuguese ships that sailed at the same time. But from what is out there, the Portuguese and Spanish transported around 81,000 slaves to the Americas. You can get this from slave statistics by 1900. It was thought that Native Americans were on the brink of extinction, with only 250,000 left. Here in the most common sense question asked by Moors, what water distillation process did the Europeans possess? Because the cargo was precious and the need of survival was extremely high. It was a 3 or 4 month voyage with approximately 200 on board. You would have to give fresh water weekly, because the average person can only go without water for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. How did they survive? How much fresh water was taken? Not knowing how many said Africans were going to be catched. It is nothing more than revisionist history. If this is not true, then explain why said blacks were not allowed to read and write for over 100 years, from 1740 to 1863. In the so-called southern states, of course, there are, exceptions. I suspect to rewrite our heritage into history, its story. In the 1800s, there was no schools in the southern states of America. All right? 100 pounds, current money. If you read Black, Washington, Nation of America, blacks also own miles of U.S. pre-Columbian land by Paul Barton. He states this: one of the saddest aspects of the enslavement in the Americas, particularly in North America, is the fact that all forms of education was denied us and still is today. Blacks were forced to remain ignorant and told that they had no history or culture. Well, here's the problem. Most African Americans are still void of historical knowledge, particularly of their ownership of land right here in the United States. Blacks own about, actually more, of 1 million square miles of land in the Louisiana Territory and the southeastern Florida region, as well as California. In all these areas of land of the United States, there were said black African American nations before Columbus, who would be targeted for enslavement due to the papal edicts that gave the Christian nations of Europe the go-ahead to make slaves of all descendants of Ham found in the newly discovered land. This fact cannot be denied. The essence on said black civilizations of ancient America, published as a great book, is called Socioeconomics, the history of Pan-African trade, commerce, money, and wealth, tells a reality of this. While many of the African ancestors were kidnapped in Africa, many were Africans who came from West Africa, had a number of kingdoms and empires in the southern part of the United States, and who was captured and had their land taken and their people stolen or sold into slavery. These Africans were direct so-called black ancestors, and there had a continuing connection with West Africa, which included trade and commerce on the very eve of the invasion of the Europeans to the Americans. Right? This is Sex and Race by J. Rogers, Volume 1. You can also get They Came Before Columbus by Ivan von Sertima. Now, I'm using the terminology that they have written in their book, so we don't have to go, into the term black. We understand what that means. It means civil is more too, it's dead in the eyes of the Lord. But this is the terminology that they're using from the books. So here, Empress Vadiasi Gaston Turner Bay, she speaks of the return of the ancient ones, and 85% of the so-called blacks and Americans were already here before the slave trade. Only 50% of blacks arrived 400 years ago from Africa. We all come from Africa, all right? But once again, as forbidden archaeology states, we talk about over 600 million years ago. The European, or Albion, just got on the planet 6,000 years ago. So we've been on this planet nearly as long as the planet been here, because 2.8, almost 3 billion years ago, there was people, humanoids, in Africa, or what is now called Africa. And at that time, we're talking about when all the land masses were together. So we're talking about Pangea, if you want to know the truth of it. But there is a suppressed history of blacks being a global people. Pangea proves that all the continents were connected. So migration to and from Africa and to other places was simple and easy. All right, get also Ra expedition. Ra expedition proved that the ancient Egyptian sunboat was capable of global travel. Additionally, temples have been built and named after Egyptian gods, and hieroglyphics or metroneches have been found in the Grand Canyon. In Oklahoma in the 1800s, the still of the pharaoh Akhenaten, who was known as Amenhotep IV, aka Moses of the Bible, was found. Get the book, The Ice, The Ultimate Disaster by Richard Noon. Also in the book, America BC, by Barry Fell. There is a alabaster egg of a cartouche of King Tut found in Ohio. Therefore, you may ask what other impacts have occurred throughout the millennium. So, we're talking about from 2.8 billion years ago to 600 million years ago, over 600 million years ago, here in what we call now North America, to up to what Barry Fell have stated, that there has been King Tut cartouches found in Ohio, Iowa, Idaho, all right? And then also, the Egyptians, gods, and hieroglyphs was found in the Grand Canyon. In Oklahoma, in the 1800s, the still of the pharaoh Akhenaten was found. So, when we went to, my wife and I went to Mexico in 2013, March 2013. The curator and our tour guide told us specifically that the people who built the pyramids were not the Mayans. They were the Nubian Egyptians. And he looked at us and he pointed to us. He said, I don't want to talk to you Europeans. We already know the history that you told us. I'm talking to them. And he pointed to us. And he said, the ones who built these pyramids, and he said, I must have to tell the truth because something happened 4 years ago in which that caused me to have to tell the truth. And what that was is that he's talking about Obama became president. And I shouted that out. And so he said that the people who built these pyramids were the Nubian Egyptians. They were not the Mayans. And he said, I can say this because I'm Mayan. So, this goes to prove that Mexico and the pyramid guides there, tour guides there, know this information, that is the Nubian Egyptians who not just put the pyramids here in the Americas, but all around the world. Okay?